Hello everyone, today I'm looking at Age of Empires, the original game for PC. This is a really fun game, and obviously would turn into a great series going down the line, but seeing where it kind of started is a really cool kind of step. What was really interesting about this game, I mean, when I think about RTS games, I really think the peak is something like StarCraft, where basically you are managing minerals and Vespian gas. Like, you only have really two resources you have to worry about, and that's very different in Age of Empires. You have to, right off the bat, I think that's the biggest thing that makes it different. You have to manage a series of a lot of very different resources, including things like wood, food, stone, gold, and a variety of different things that you need for very specific items and soldiers and troops. For example, in this game, when you start off, you're going to have your city center and you're going to have your villagers. And it's funny that the most important thing that you need to actually start a civilization is food. So you can either set up a granary or a little hut to gather food, and you can basically hunt the animals in the wild, send your villagers to pick berries. Or what you can actually do is build farms and have them cultivate it and grow, resources on there so that you always have food, in range. The only difference is that when you have a farm, eventually the fields do deteriorate over time, like fallow fields. And if you don't rotate your crop rotation, you will just basically lose the field entirely, and it needs a moment to basically regenerate and recharge. Aside from that, though, you also have, attack units like barbarians or archers, swordsmen, sling throwers, who essentially will require to create meat and also usually wood or stone, depending on their different class. You can also get priests, and those involve gold. And what the priests do is they're able to convert enemy units to your side. It's very funny. I'm usually used to RTS games being very large in scale, but this is really focusing on minuscule resource management. Of course, you have the classic fog of war, where you need to use your units to explore the map early and then find out where the enemy encampments are and take them out. The main story, the main campaign details, Alexander the Great and parts of Rome and that kind of era. And, Age of Empires 2 kind of deals more with the medieval era, so you basically go from the Stone Age to, at most, the kind of classical age and the Age of Antiquity. Again, the animations are very nice in this game, and the main strategy really is to destroy your enemy's home base. So aside from normal troops, you can also get siege weapons, which are mostly made out of wood and stone. And the real kind of metagame that is being played here is, you need to know which enemies are weak to what. So like archers are very good against, guys on horseback, and axes are good against swords, I believe. And so the main objective is really to destroy your enemy's city center and wipe out their ability to make resources, while you have to make your own resources. Another style of food production really is fisheries and making docks and fishing. The fish will basically not respond, though, so along with animals, so you need to be very cautious of that. And the main real meta mechanic is managing resources. It's knowing when you're about to run out of a certain resource or a certain type of resource. There is an icon on the screen to display idle villagers, so you can immediately click to them, find out what they're doing, and put them to work somewhere else. And so there's a lot of times in this campaign where, I would just set my boats or my villagers to take this one patch of land and farm it, or hunt this one type of animal in this area, or, fish in this one area, and I'd forget about it, and suddenly I'd be making a bunch of troops, and suddenly would run out of troop production because I realized, oh no, I forgot to, tell my troops to start hunting elsewhere. My civilians rather, and so then the whole operation falls apart, and so you have to be essentially very careful on how you plan everything out. So this is a real strategy game. You really have to think more so about your resources and also what kind of troops you send into battle, because it can be very costly and very repetitive to lose your main force. Again, learning how to really operate and get siege weapons in will kind of be the key to any kind of successful battle, mainly because the stone walls are going to be the hardest thing to get through, and the typical defensive strategy is that there will be a bunch of towers and watchtowers which will destroy your men, and really there's nothing else that can take those out except siege weapons, unless you have a huge army that you can take out the watchtowers quickly, but otherwise you're going to need some kind of weapon to destroy them. Of course, the other frustrating part is your siege weapons are very, very vulnerable. Even though they have great range and huge destructive capability, if they're broadsided by a bunch of horse archers, that pretty much spells doom for you and your men. Of course, the other aspect to this game is the buildings. Of course, when you build barracks and temples, you will be able to build and recruit certain, soldiers and priests, but buildings can have other effects as well, such as wonders, and wonders are kind of seen as the apex of your civilization. So there will be things like the Colossus of Rhodes or the Great Pyramid, and they're just kind of things to either flex on your army, on your enemy, or in some cases they are simply things that are needed for completing the objective of the main campaign. And of course, your city center and other centers, as you upgrade certain, things that will increase your unit's mobility or armor or attack, you also get certain items that you also get certain upgrades that once you get all of them and enough food production, you can basically spend, funnily enough, a bunch of food and wood and other resources to essentially progress to the next age of civilization. In which case, all of your men and basic soldiers and also aesthetics of the building will completely upgrade and change, and they'll go to things like clay roofs and other things like that. Again, there's nothing really super different from Age of Empires to other RTS games, except it's a lot more methodical, a lot more about resource gathering and managing. Certain ships being able to transport units across bodies of water is also another huge component of the game, and also the strategy involved. And so you basically need to combine all three factions of sea, land, and horseback to really conquer your enemy. And sometimes there'll be, islands where, there'll be a specific resource you need, and you'll have to set up a little base, maybe a few watchtowers and some guards, and get the civilians to build a storage site on there and basically get the resources. But yeah, some of the campaign events are based around real real historical, battles and events. But really what this game was really known for is kind of the multiplayer, which was like player against player, and how one could outsmart the other. Anyway, I played this game pretty recently, so even in current day, as a modern game, it is absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's great. It's a classic game, and the other games in the series pretty much speak for themselves. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.